Hello, Coach. This is Hasil from GradRight. It's wonderful to be at your office. Could you please introduce yourself and what exactly you do at Brandeis?
Sure. So my full name is Ain Rich. My students call me either Coach Alice or Professor Alice, and I am the Associate Director of the MBA program here at the Brandeis International Business School. I also am an Adjunct Professor and teach a course on global career strategies and management communication.
That's wonderful. And what exactly is this, coaching and counseling about?
So the coaching and counseling is about taking the education that we provide for our MBA graduate students and turning that into successful career outcomes. And our students go to many different fields, ranging from typical MBA industries like consulting, finance, investment banking, to some of the more innovative industries in technology, startups, nonprofits, and more recently an interest in sustainability.
And is there any specific approach of coaching that you work on for the international students, like students from India?
Yes, so in particular, I believe in, I'd say, three tenets. The first is being kind, the second is being confident, and the third is being proud of yourself. And the way I build that community with our students from all over the world, and in particular with students from India, is I teach my students about kindness to themselves and kindness to others, which in turn builds confidence, and that confidence turns into being proud of yourself. I found that my students from India are very driven and they set very high standards for themselves, which is a wonderful thing. But the flip side of that is sometimes you can not give yourself enough balance in the education process. And I think the students look to me in part to help remind them of that balance. So pushing yourself, looking for career choices, but also taking care of yourself. Making sure you get enough sleep, that you eat properly, that you get enough exercise while you're here at Brandeis, because many of our students haven't really been away from their family units for a long time or at all in their lives, and adjusting to a new country, to the United States. It's a very different culture here. And I myself lived abroad in London. And while London is more similar to the US, I remember very well as a student what it felt like to be a new person in a new country. So I'm very sensitive to helping our students integrate both academically, professionally, and personally.
That's wonderful. And how is the journey of a student when they come to Brandeis, when you start with them on the coaching aspect? What steps do they undertake and where do they go from here?
Sure. So my particular style is immediately in the summer prior to the first semester as an MBA student, I reach out and connect with our students. We have a meet and greet that we do on Zoom, and there's typically students from all over the world, which is very typical of the start of the Brandeis experience, because all of a sudden our students from India are meeting students from Africa, from Southeast Asia, from the United States, from Canada, and they're like, wow, this is going to be a really global experience. So right away I make that connection. When the students arrive at campus, I really take the time to seek them out, to talk to them, to get to know them, so I can recognize who my new students are. And then that merges into the start of our semester and our career class, which I try to make really interactive, really fun, but also give the foundation and the skills needed for a successful career search. And those skills, I call it the power of three and the pillar of four. The power of three is identifying your brand. So my brand is, I say, I'm empathetic, I'm innovative and persistent. And then I could describe why I am that way. And I ask each student to come up with their own branding so they feel confident in talking to people about who they are and what they can do. And then the pillar of 4 are your resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn, and your elevator pitch. So be game ready to present yourself to potential employers. And when you have those tools and you really integrate them, you really feel good about yourself and you're really able to articulate who you are, what value you can bring, and what you care about.
Wow, that's so wonderful to get to understand how it works. One last question, Coach. Would you be able to recollect any 1-2 interesting students or stories that you have seen over the last few years, especially from the Indian community?
Sure. There's so many, and I actually have been privileged to have, I'd say, 3/4 of my TAs for the last 4 years have been Indian students who just impressed me immediately when I met them. But in particular, I had a student last year who I met, and she was very quiet. She walked into the classroom. I could tell she was smart. She had an engineering background, but she was really reserved and didn't seem particularly comfortable communicating with other people. By the end of the semester, she was a dynamo. She came out of her shell. She learned how to articulate her thoughts. And I was so proud and so happy when she actually got a very coveted internship at one of the biggest toy companies in the world, Hasbro Corporation. And she was able to get that internship because of how she transformed her communication skills and integrated that with her intelligence and her ability. And we still stay in touch. I tend to stay in touch with my students, and we even become friends. And she's off to a great new adventure in her first job after her MBA. So that one in particular, I remember.
That's all from my end, Coach. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.